kindness.
What was the awakening moment for you that you realized that there was more to, quote, religion, more to life than what appeared to be?
Probably the most important moment of my life occurred when I was 34 years old, just a few years before I met you. I went to my father's grave. I was sent there by a series of just mystical kinds of things that just could never have happened. You could never intellectually explain how I got to my father's grave, because this was a man I grew up hating. I mean, bitterly hating. My two brothers didn't care, but I was angry at him all the time, and I would have bad dreams about him. I'd wake up punching him, and I'd be in a cold sweat and so on. And I ended up at his grave in 1974. The story's too long to tell. I've written about it in many of my books, but and told the story. But I stood at my father's grave August the 27th, 1974, just before I wrote Your Erroneous Sounds. And my life was out of control at that time. I was overweight. I was in bad relationships. I was heading for death, really. I was eating terribly. And my writing wasn't going well. Nothing much was working. And I stood at my father's grave, and I went to my father's grave to do something on his grave that I wouldn't even want to talk about here. And just as I was leaving the gravesite, I was called back, almost like mystically, and I just said, from this moment on, I send you love. I forgive you. Who am I to judge you and tell you what your life should have been?
But you went there to do the opposite.
I went there because I just wanted to have closure. I really always just wanted to meet this man, and I didn't even know he had been dead. And he'd been dead 10 years before I even found out that he had been dead. So that was a major turning point in my life.
When you could feel the love.
Yeah.
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 Forgive.
Yeah. There's that wonderful line that Mark Twain says, that forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. You know, and it's this beautiful idea of being able to send love regardless of what comes your way. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds
on the heel that has crushed it.
On the heel that has crushed it. You know about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's beautiful.
You've had to do some of that yourself, I know.
Yes, we all, if you live long enough, you do.
Yeah, and there's this old idea that if you pursue revenge, you know, you better dig 2 graves because it'll kill you.
It'll kill you.
Yeah, it'll kill you.
Holding anger for someone else is like taking your own poison.
Right. And I often feel, Oprah, that maybe he incarnated into this life just to teach his youngest son, who he never met and he walked away from, how to forgive. And because of that, I've been able to affect the lives of millions of people all over the planet, on all different languages. And for me, it just after I walked away from that gravesite in August of '74, I was teaching at St. John's University. I was a professor up there. I rented
What were you teaching?
I was teaching counseling psychology to graduate students. I flew down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, rented an apartment in the Spindrift Motel, and I wrote Your Erroneous Sounds in 14 days.
Wow.
Cover to cover, without any notes, without any struggle. I had been struggling with my writing. I had been writing textbooks. And today that book is like 60 million copies, 47 languages all over the world. I mean, it was everything in my life turned around when I got the rage, the hatred, the anger out of my heart. And today I write about and live something called divine love, a kind of love that never varies, a love that never changes, a love that you have for everything, for this mountain, for these trucks, for these people, for these lights, for these clouds. It's like that kind of love. That's the love I'm working on and living every day.